I get the honor of introducing our guest speaker tonight, and he asked me to real quickly read an email to you folks that just kind of summarizes this business, and you read this, just puts a smile on your face. So here's the email. Hey Gordon, all is well with my note business. Then listen to what he says. I just got wiped out on a VK13, thought I had plenty of equity according to Zillow and ePraisal, but my own appraisal came in about $9,000 short. If I had known, I would have held on to the note for a year and let the first unpaid balance drop and the fair market value increase. I had a lot of legal fees on top of this one also, losing about $16K. All right, so all is well. On the good side, I have a borrower that is selling her home and I'm getting a $50,000 payoff, enough to pay for the entire pool that came with this note. And closing it next weekend, I see no reason that this would fall through. The champagne is on ice. I hope all is well with you. Thanks for all your help and support. So that's Gordon. He's going to tell you how you too can have a collapsing great note business. So anyway, please welcome Mr. Gordon Moss.
I like the feel of this room. Notice nobody sat in the front. Look at them in the back, they got their arms folded. That's where I would sit. I'd sit back there and my feet on the table if I could. Nobody would notice. I wasn't an A student, I was a C student. Not that I couldn't do it, I just didn't see the point. So I think I want to thank Gary for putting this together. I think it's a great idea. I always want to support people who are out there on the edge doing stuff. There was a huge need out there, and it's here tonight, so you can see it. So thank you for having me as your first speaker. I'm honored, humbled, so thank you very much. And thanks for everything else that goes with it. Alan, I just bought that camera a minute ago, so he set it all up. Great people. That's the best part of this business. I'll say it over and over again, it's the people, great people. So this is a note investment club. This is not a real estate investment club. And let me do a quick poll here. Who's seen me speak before? Okay, a lot of you. And you probably heard the same thing. And I said tonight, I said, you know, I'm going to shift gears here. I've done a couple things in the last 2 weeks. I've traveled around the country. I've gone to all the hedge funds and kind of tested the water on the business right now. And I was going to bring that to you and say, here's what's the market, in my opinion, and in their opinion. Here's a profile of some of the hedge funds out there, how their businesses are set up, how they're doing, how they feel about this market. Does that sound like something interesting? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And let me just say, too, that, you know, I've written this book, and I'm not here to sell the book, but if you do, I got the 7 questions everybody asks, and the 9 questions you should be asking in this book. It's on Amazon and Kindle, so we're not going to talk about that tonight. This is kind of the next level class. Is that okay? Yeah. And if you go back and look at the book, if that sounds something you need. I'm going to start by telling you the best piece of advice I got. It took me 2 years to figure out. I was at a ski event with John Schaub, who's a friend of mine. And let me just say it, you know, the guys like John Schaub and Jack Miller and Pete Fortunato, I call them the A-team. I mean, they know the real estate game in and out, but they're also note guys. You know, note guys, note people, get in the teens. We kind of look back at these people and say, I'm getting, you know, 8% or 7%, and kind of go, okay. You know, because it's frankly, it ain't that tough to get that kind of return in this business. Bill Tan's speaking next week, and I'm guilty too, but we should all be a part of his calculator class to get that down if you haven't got that down. It's a key fundamental skill to know how to get this, you know, thing going. So my real goal is this. I want to communicate this business. I want to make it not simple, but understandable to the most people. I mean, there's always going to be some rocket science who just gets everything or can't understand anything. And then there's the new guy who might not ever get it. But I want to just, if you ask me, Gordon, why are you doing this? What are you trying to do? I'm trying to communicate it well. So give me some feedback at the end. I'm wide open to your advice and how to make it sound better. Okay, here's the best piece of advice I ever got. Here it comes. Terrell Sheen. Terrell Sheen is a veterinarian in San Angelo, Texas. One of the coolest guys on the planet. And he came to the ski seminar. And one night we're out there doing something and he says, you know what you should do? I said, what should I do? He says, buy a property, and a property to us means a single-family house. We're single-family house guys. I'll go into that later. He said, buy a property and buy a note. Buy a property and buy a note. And some of you that know me know that I've named my site realestateandnoteinvesting.com. That wasn't just a flippant thing that I did. I thought about that because I'm a real estate investor for 25 years. And I'm a non-performing note investor for the last 6. But these non-performing notes are that note on steroids. So Terrell said, hey, buy a property and buy a note. And I said, that sounds like 2 debits to my account. You know, that sounds harder. And he says, well, why did I tell you that? I said, okay, here comes the question, the quiz deal. He says, that property ain't gonna cash flow. I said, oh yeah, it will. I said, you know, I get $1,000 rent, and I get, the mortgage is $1,000. He goes, you don't own too much property, do you? And I said, well, I guess you own more, but the bottom line is, it doesn't cash flow. Am I correct? It doesn't cash flow. So what does the note do? Cash flow. So the movie goes 20 years down the road. What happens? The notes don't last forever. I see people saying, I want to be a note guy. That sounds cooler. Well, guess what? A lot of the wealthy old guys, keep this in mind, they're buy and hold real estate guys, but they use notes for cash flow. So 20 years down the road, that property might have gone up in value, the rents might have gone up, it might even be paid off. The note, the $300 a month payment or whatever it was, $300 doesn't buy what it bought 20 years ago. And it'll pay off. It'll go poof, it's gone. But if you buy them both together, a piece of real estate and a note, tax-wise, it's a beautiful thing. Cash flow-wise, it'll keep your hair this color. That was the best piece of advice, and I struggled with that for years. I didn't get that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Buy a piece of property, buy a note. A la Terrell Sheen. Thank you, Rich, for reading that feedback from my student. That was 2 weeks ago. Great guy, he's doing very well. But that's kind of, you talked about your experience, and it's an up and down business. This is not like this. It's a rocky road. If you've heard me speak, I read that story about Ernest Shackleton, who put an ad in the London Times in 1900. Talks about darkness, cold, small chance of success, pain, pain, pain. This is an exciting business. It's not for the faint-hearted. But is it worth it? Yeah.